There's a particular kind of silence that happens when the conversation turns to last night's game. Everyone else leans in. They're animated, voices rising, replaying moments like they were there. And you're present, nodding occasionally, tracking the thread just enough to stay involved. But inside, there's nothing. Not boredom exactly, not hostility, just a quiet recognition that this language doesn't translate for you. The excitement in the room feels genuine and distant at the same time. You understand what's being said. You can follow who won, who lost, which player did what. What doesn't process is the emotion attached to it. It's like watching people celebrate a holiday you don't observe. You see the meaning it holds for them. You just don't feel it yourself. Most men learn early that sports are supposed to matter. It's one of the first shared codes offered. In school hallways, at family gatherings, in break rooms, sports become a default point of connection. When you don't speak that code fluently, it creates a small gap. Sometimes it shows up as surprise, sometimes as mild judgment, and sometimes as an assumption that you're either pretending to be above it or incapable of normal enthusiasm. What's rarely considered is that the absence of interest isn't resistance. It's just how the signal arrives or doesn't. For men especially, this can feel isolating, because sports often function as the easiest path to male bonding. The reason sports hold such weight for so many men isn't arbitrary. Human beings evolved in groups. For most of history, belonging to a tribe determined survival. Being accepted meant safety. Being cast out meant danger. Modern sports recreate that structure in miniature. A team becomes a tribe. The opposing team becomes a clear other. The game becomes a symbolic conflict with emotional stakes, but no real threat. When someone watches their team compete, certain parts of the brain activate. The same regions tied to group identity, dominance hierarchies, territorial defense. Hormones shift. Testosterone rises after victories. Cortisol increases after losses. Neurologically, the body responds as if something real just happened. For men who feel this response, sports provide a clean outlet for instincts that otherwise have nowhere to go. But not every nervous system responds this way. Some men watch the same game and feel no activation. The tribal signal doesn't land. This isn't a deficit. It's a difference in wiring. Their sense of belonging isn't broken. It's just calibrated to different triggers. Shared ideas instead of shared colors. Mutual effort instead of mutual geography. For some men, the disinterest in sports has roots that go deeper than preference. The patterns often start forming early. In some households, sports are a bonding language. Weekends are structured around games. For boys raised in those environments, sports become associated with closeness and safety. But not every childhood works that way. Some boys grow up in homes where loud meant dangerous, where raised voices signaled conflict, not celebration. In those environments, the nervous system learns to associate high stimulation with threat, not connection. Others grow up in families where emotional intimacy wasn't built around spectacle at all. Attention came through quieter channels. By the time adolescence arrives, the nervous system has already decided what feels regulating. There's also a psychological layer. Some men learned early that emotional investment without control carries risk. Watching strangers win or lose on your behalf doesn't feel rewarding when your system values agency. Another reason some men never develop sports obsession has nothing to do with emotion. It has to do with attention. Your brain has limited capacity for deep investment. There's only so much mental space available for things you track continuously and care about over time. Being a serious sports fan requires cognitive commitment. Learning rosters, understanding strategies, tracking statistics. For many men, that space is already occupied. Some minds allocate their attention early to systems, how markets function, how tools work. Others invest in mastery, building a skill, refining a craft. Their attention doesn't scatter. It consolidates. From this angle, not caring about sports isn't disengagement. It's prior commitment. Time spent tracking scores versus time spent developing capability. Emotional energy tied to outcomes you can't control versus energy invested where effort compounds. Men who don't follow sports haven't opted out of passion. They've concentrated it in places where the results belong to them. Inside the brain, there are cells called mirror neurons. They activate when you perform an action, but they also activate when you watch someone else perform that same action. This is why you flinch when someone falls, why your muscles tense when an athlete sprints. When a player makes a decisive move, the same motor and reward circuits light up in the viewer's brain as if they were the one making the play. This is part of what makes sports so engaging for many men. But mirror neurons require identification. You have to see yourself in the person you're watching. Without that bridge, the emotional payoff never fully arrives. For men who don't obsess over sports, the mirror neuron system still functions. It just attaches elsewhere. Their brains might light up watching a craftsman turn raw material into something precise, watching a musician execute a difficult passage. The surge is the same, the target is different. Beneath the polite deflections and the casual, "I didn't catch the game" responses, there's something many men carry quietly. A low-grade sense of being slightly out of step. When the conversation shifts to playoffs and you have nothing to contribute. When colleagues bond over brackets and you're functionally invisible. Over time, these moments can accumulate into a question you don't say out loud. Is something wrong with me? In a culture where sports function as a primary language of male connection, not speaking it can feel like a deficit. But the problem isn't you. It's the assumption that enthusiasm should be universal. Your nervous system isn't broken. It's just not designed to activate on command for collective spectacle. Once that distinction becomes clear, the weight shifts. You're not failing to participate. You're participating differently. It's worth saying clearly, there is nothing wrong with the way sports pull men out of their daily routines. For many, a big game is a sanctioned pause. Work disappears. Stress softens. Psychologically, that's absorption, a state where time collapses and self-consciousness fades. But absorption isn't exclusive to stadiums. Men who don't follow sports aren't immune to the need for presence. They just find it through different doors. In the garage, where hours pass without being counted. In the shop, where hands move before thoughts catch up. The difference isn't escape versus engagement. It's the direction of the energy. Watching a game absorbs attention outward into someone else's performance. Other forms of absorption pull attention inward into creation, problem solving. One consumes a finished narrative. The other lives inside an unfolding one. Men who don't choose sports haven't rejected escape. They've chosen forms of absorption that leave something behind when the moment ends. When you step back, a pattern becomes visible. Men who don't obsess over sports aren't standing outside of life, disconnected. They're participating, just not in the most visible way. While some invest their attention in shared spectacles, others invest it in slower, quieter arenas. Building something. Understanding something. Their silence during the game isn't emptiness. It's focus turned elsewhere. Most men who don't follow sports understand the appeal completely. They just know, with a quiet certainty, that their energy belongs somewhere else. Attention is the most valuable resource you have. Where you direct it shapes the kind of person you become. Some men direct it toward watching excellence unfold. Others direct it toward creating something that didn't exist before. That difference doesn't make one path better, but it does explain why the signal never landed, and why it never needed to.